Hello, my name is Chris Williams of RA Games, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Réttir, the sheep herding dice game for 2 to 7 players. But what does Réttir mean exactly? Well, Réttir is a traditional Icelandic sheep roundup that occurs every September as farmers and their surrounding communities come together to sort their sheep, which have been roaming the highlands all summer long. Well, you won't be wrangling any actual sheep here. You will be gathering sheep dice and leading them from herd to herd. Players will roll 3 sheep dice at a time, choosing one to add to a herd, but only if that die is of greater value than the sheep already there. They then take that herd from their opponent and score points for each of their sheep. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins. Tucked neatly inside this little mint tin, you'll find 18 sheep dice, with 6 being white, 5 red, 4 yellow, and 3 black, as well as 1 sheepdog die. You will also find 6 herd cards, 7 score cards, 7 score tokens, with one of them being the first player's black score token, and finally, 1 rulebook. To set up, place all dice in the middle of the table to form what is called the Rett. Place the herd cards face up around the Rett based on the number of players as indicated on the back of each card. In this example, we've set up for a 4-player game. The player who last pet a sheep is the first player, or you can just decide randomly. Give each player a score card and a score token, with the black token going to the first player. Now, you're ready to play. On your turn, choose any 3 dice from the Rett and roll them. You may then choose one of them to use on a herd card, regardless of the player it's in front of. There are 3 types of dice: standard sheep dice, black sheep dice, and the sheepdog die. Standard sheep dice can only be added to a herd matching their color, while black sheep dice can be added to any herd. The chosen herd is then taken from the player it was in front of and instead placed in front of you, keeping any dice that were on it. If the herd was already in front of you, simply keep it there. Players may have multiple herds even if they are the same color. To add a sheep to a herd, the die must have a greater value than the largest die already on that card. If a card has no dice, any value may be placed on it. If you start a new herd using a die with a value of 1, immediately gain 1 bonus point. You're reminded of this by the cute little sheep face shown here. This is in addition to the points you'll gain at the end of your turn, but more on that in a moment. The sheepdog die can be used on a herd matching the color rolled, or any herd if you rolled the black sheepdog. This allows you to steal that herd, but it doesn't place a new sheep on it. Instead, the sheepdog die is simply returned to the Rett. Once you've used one of your 3 rolled dice, return the unchosen dice to the Rett. If you are unable to, or do not wish to choose a die, skip to the scoring step. In this example, I think we'll add our red 6 to this herd. Once you've used a die and returned the unchosen dice, it's time to score points for each of the sheep in your herds, including any newly gained herds and any herds you had from a previous turn. Here we have a herd with 2 dice, and our new herd with 3 dice, earning a total of 5 points. Track your points by sliding your score tracker along your score card, flipping it over as necessary. If you go over 30 points, start back at 1 and simply add 30 to your score. End your turn by checking to see if any of your herds need to be returned to the Rett. If you used a die with a value of 6, like in our example from before, or if you used a black sheep die, return that herd after scoring. Remember, this only counts for the die you actually used on a herd, not the unchosen dice you returned. For example, since we added this red 6 to our herd, we'd score the points from it, but then return it to the Rett. I'll still get to keep my other herd though for a future turn, assuming it hasn't been stolen by then. When returning a herd, remove the dice from the card and place them back into the Rett. Place the now empty card around the outside of the Rett. Remember, any dice value can be used on an empty herd as long as its color matches, and if you use a 1 to start a herd, you get an immediate bonus point. But keep in mind that the lower the dice value, the easier it is for another player to steal that herd. Continue playing with turn order moving clockwise around the table. As soon as a player has at least 25 points as indicated on the scorecard, finish the current round so that each player has had the same number of turns by ending with the player to the right of the first player. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins. If there's a tie, they share the victory. And that's everything you need to know to play Réttir, the sheep herding dice game. Be sure to also check out our other video where I sit down with my family to play through an entire game. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy Réttir, the sheep herding dice game.